Bajurbal, Beskargam, Arano Valit, Mando'a Bal Mandalor, Anvin Kuyan Mi. Sukui, I'm Anubis. I've been studying and working with Mando'a for nearly 10 years. I'm a hobbyist linguist and one of the contributors behind the Mando'a expansion project hosted on mandocreator.com. Welcome once again to Mando'a for Di'kut. And with me here today is...
Velin, Olarom. So, I'm not a hobbyist linguist by now, but I really want to learn Mando'a. And I'm into Mandalorians basically for, I think, 8 years now, and have been cosplaying Mandos ever since. So, I figured I have to fulfill my destiny here. And since Anu knows what he is doing, yeah, let's learn. One thing I noticed that we did completely drop last episode from the intro is what I just said. Olarom just means as much as welcome.
Olarom. Yep, that's right. Olarom. It comes from the verb to arrive at a location, olaror. I stressed that a little wrong just to show you the difference there. Olaror is the actual stress there, but yeah, olarum. It's a kind of a greeting, welcome.
Hey, so let us just dive into last week's homework and let's just get ahead of ourselves for a second there and admit that I'm going into my corner and I'm being real ashamed for a second
Yeah.
because I completely messed up my pronouns there. What I said was indeed not our ass.
So at the end of last week's episode, you said that you had been messing with your girlfriend, talking about ner shebs, gar shebs, me shebs, and technically, what you said there at the end, me shebs, would mean we are an ass. The correct way would be cuun shebs, so which would be our shebs there.
Yeah. I mean, it is a simple language, but it's not
Yep.
that simple sometimes. Yeah, but that just perfectly illustrates that just because you can read a dictionary doesn't mean you can speak the language, and why what we are doing here is actually kind of necessary and not futile.
Yep, exactly. These types of things you don't really pick up on unless somebody's studied it for a while and can show you the ropes there. So that's what this is all about. So I hope everybody had a chance to look through the dictionary, find their favorite variant of shebs, and I hope you all begin to use that in your day to day.
Yes, just for reference, we be asking our students for their homework now. Yeah. What's that, little Jimmy? Yeah, you know an answer. That's great.
Mhm.
One example would be Shebika or Shebika. What's more the
Yeah, you hit
pronunciation?
it right. Yeah, you hit it
Okay.
perfect first time.
Okay, so that's just like a little cutesy form again, like body,
Yep.
tush, not
Tashini.
like the,
Yeah.
yeah, not like just plain ass, what's more like aggressive.
Yeah.
Um, a butt kisser we also have, or a toadies. What's the word? Sycophant? Okay, I never heard that
Sycophant.
before.
Sycophant would be the English
Ah,
word. Very,
yeah.
very fancy word for it.
Okay, see the German means what's that? Okay, that's the Sheb It's basically ass kisser, butt kisser, whatever.
Yep. Pretty direct
Then
there.
Yeah, then we have the one that Anu was already referring to last week, like Mirshep, the smartest.
Hmm.
And if you want to tell someone to just shove it, you tell him nar shep.
Yep, which is like do an action with your butt on that narship. One of my favorites there in the dictionary is the phrase it's translated to "you can keep your glory" in English. That's the
PG version.
polite way, the PG translation of it. But the actual words here, "kote lo shebs ul narit," is basically you can shove it up your butt. You can
Yeah,
shove your
I
glory up your butt.
yeah.
Get that out of
I
here.
I figured that, but yeah, makes sense. Like
That's pretty great.
stick your glory where the sun never
Where the
shines,
sun don't
basically.
shine,
Yeah,
exactly.
okay. One thing we wanted to get at with the whole what I did wrong in my sentence, what's pretty much something I guess everyone will do wrong at the beginning is
Oh yeah, it's
in
very
Mando'a
common.
the kui or cuyir is almost always dropped.
Yep. So a very I would say maybe even universal beginner mistake here with Mando'a is using cuyir, the verb for to be or to exist. Everyone, especially coming from English, where we say is in like nearly every sentence, um, a lot of people want to add, you know, kui in there as the translation for is, and so Mando'a doesn't do that, mostly because it's entirely understood. So if you have a sentence where there's a verb seemingly missing and there's just a couple of nouns there, then it's understood that the cuyir is there but dropped. And so that can trip you up a lot into making sentences that mean things you didn't expect, such as me shebs there, where there was a hidden cuyir there that turned it into something that was not exactly what you meant to say.
Not intended. Yeah, not at all. Yeah, I mean, you live and you learn, right? So
Right,
I'm gonna
exactly.
be real miserable in my little corner here today.
But yeah, so some good applications for that, like if you wanted to say, I am Mandalorian, I am Mando'ade, right? Or I am Mando'ad, sorry. Then you would say ni Mando'ad. You wouldn't need Hui there because it's understood, just as a
So
simple example.
so yeah, and you probably only would use the kui, as I understood, if you really wanted to drive a point home, right? So
Yeah,
if
it's
I'm really want to put the emphasis on something being, then I would use it.
yeah, and it's super rare because it's in common everyday speech, quote unquote. You don't really hear it. So if someone does throw that in there, you either know immediately one, they're a beginner and they're haven't learned to drop the kui yet, or two, that they really really wanted to make sure to emphasize that this exists entirely as this other thing, and it's a pretty rare usage of it, but we have seen that sometimes. And there are even some entries in the dictionary there where you see kui used, and it's pretty much in that case where you really want to make the existence of the thing the emphasis of the sentence.
Yeah. So that's basically what we were getting at last episode. Everything that can be shortened will be shortened.
Yep.
Yeah, we will get some examples of that later in the episode. So, Anu, do you wanna go in depth with me about the Resol'nare? What the was the basically
Right.
your
So the
intro
little
saying?
Yeah, the
Yeah,
little intro there. Let's just go over that one more time. So Bajur Bal Beskargam, the first line there. Uh,
yeah, that's teach,
yeah,
teaching,
education. Yeah,
education,
education.
and the armor. Beskar
and
Gam, yeah,
armor. That's right.
yeah.
Education and armor. Aranov Alit. That is
The
self-defense.
family,
Yeah,
yeah. But what's
yeah,
Aranov?
self-defense. Basically,
Ah, mhm.
Alit is your family, right? Your clan. Mando'a, which we're talking about now.
It's the
Bal
language, yeah.
Mandalore, the the leader of the Mandalorians, which only happens in a time of I would say the Mandalore action of the Resol'nare is one that is a little bit contentious because there isn't always a Mandalore. One isn't always needed, but sometimes there is, and if there is a time where it's needed, then that's when you got to rally to
One
that
will
call.
arise.
Yeah.
You will need to heed the call.
Uh, and then at the end there, an vinkuyan me, all keep us alive, all sustain us. These 6 actions are what
Ah, okay.
sustains the Mandalorian way. Um, so the Resol'nare literally means 6 actions, and that's these 6 things: Bajor, Baskargam, Aranov, Alit, Mando'a, Mandalore. These 6
Ah,
things are the defining foundation of Mandalorian culture, what it means to be Mandalorian. Um, and following the Resol'nare is essentially considered like the absolute minimum to be a Mandalorian.
what makes you a
Um,
real Mando, yeah.
yeah, exactly. And so to spell these out in a clear list here, it's educating the next generation specifically, raising your family, raising kids to be Mandalorians, but also teaching others about, the Mandalorian way. So education about what it's like to be Mandalorian. What we're doing here. This is Bajor. Beskar Gam, of course, is wearing the armor, but it extends a little more than that. Wearing the armor, but also being prepared, being equipped for whatever situation you're going to find yourself in. You can't walk around in today's world necessarily wearing armor all the time, but you can walk around carrying the things that you will need for the situations you're likely to encounter that day. Um, Aranov, self defense. So that's just making sure you're capable and competent and that you are able to in whatever capacity you're physically able, you are uh, practiced in defending yourself, and elite, defending your family, defending your clan, looking out for each other, providing for your immediate circle there. And as we discussed in the last episode, elite orishia taldin, family is more than blood. Your elite doesn't necessarily mean your blood family. It could be, a group of close friends, whatever that looks like. Uh, Mando'a, so the language. This is one that's been historically quite difficult to accomplish in the real world here because the language itself has been so bare bones. But we're working on that. We're working on it. Mandalore, and as I mentioned, there isn't always a Mandalore. Most of the time, one isn't needed. There's a famous quote from I think it was actually Boba Fett that said it. Um, Let me quickly find it. Um, it was from I don't actually remember what
I,
piece of
I
media
think
it was from.
I think isn't that the bar fight scene where he brawls with Cosco Reeves?
No,
Where
no, that
he you
there
don't
there
mean
there
that
are
one.
some things mentioned there that kind of nod towards things like this, but this is from I think either one of the books or one of the comics. It's when Boba Fett is Mandalore in the lore here, and I'm pretty sure it's been retconned at this point by
Kinda, yeah.
Disney canon, at least soft retconned. But the quote is still excellent. And so he says, "You don't lead Mandalorians. You just make sensible suggestions you know they'll want to follow. And since when have Mandalorians needed to be told what makes sense?"
Yeah, yeah,
And that's
yeah.
that's basically it. Yeah, the Mandalorian's job isn't necessarily to lead by, like a king where he makes decrees and, and this and that or the other thing. It doesn't have anything to do with the dark saber, regardless of what the shows will tell you. It's the Mandalorians respect this person for their decision making and their wisdom, and they trust the decisions that this person makes. So when they need a decision maker, they say, "All right, we need you to make these decisions so we can follow." And that's basically it. It's as with everything in Mandalorian culture, it's the focus is on practicality. It's not some, you know, frou-frou position of honor that is to be strived for. It's we need someone to practically make some decisions in this very critical moment. So let's do it.
Yeah, yeah. What I was getting like, or what feeling I got from all the stuff I read up on or heard from other people. I mean, that's all opinions at that point because it's not defined. But
Hmm.
I think one big point you need to bring as Mandalore is charisma. So
Yeah,
basically, you need
yeah,
to be a great warrior, sure, but that's not it all. You need to have the thing that yeah, you need to be good at speaking. You need to have some charisma, basically,
right.
because I mean, one of my favorite Mandalorian memes is the one where they just slap the helmet on the old Simpsons meme with Willie and Rector Skinner.
Yeah.
That's going like, yeah, they're Mandalorians, they ruined Mandalore. So,
You Mandalorians sure are contentious people.
yeah, you made an enemy for life here.
That's one of the
Yeah.
best. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's just so fitting. Like, how many splinter groups we have in the meantime?
Yeah.
We have true Mandalorians. We have the Death Watch. We have the new Mandalorians. We have the Children of the Watch.
Yeah.
I mean, presumably in the Mandalorian, at least for a short time, the faction from ex-Wolves is also like
Yeah.
splintered away. So yeah, whatever.
The Night Owls. Yeah.
I don't think
It's
it's necessarily the Night Owls there, but yeah,
yeah,
it's
it's
hard to
true.
say.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
split away from yeah, that's yeah, you're right.
the mercenary faction, whatever
Yeah,
we
whatever you want
can't
to call
really
it. Yeah.
tell.
Yeah, that kind of gets a little bit into something that I wanted to bring up Mandalorian history. A little bit before the time of Boba Fett and Jango Fett in the earlier time of Jaster Mareel, where he had put together the Super Commando Codex in order to prevent this whole like splintering thing from continuing. A lot of Mandalorians were sick of their elite dying in senseless wars, and a lot of them had split off to do mercenary work. And there were some that were, you know, not liking the scummy things that they had to do, and so the Super Commando Codex was based on the Resol'nare. Unfortunately, we don't have uh, the exact wording of what the Super Commando Codex actually was, but it was essentially a kind of code of honor that you could probably reasonably trace the bounty hunters code to. It's essentially put forward a kind of a basis for, all right, we stick to our word. You know that if we say we're going to do a job, we're going to do it. That sort of thing. We're not going to backstab other Mando'ade to get one over to get a better job or something like that. Like that sort of thing was essentially the basis of it. expanding a little bit on the Resol'nare, and that's what gave rise to the likes of Jango Fett and Boba Fett, where you have this legendary reputation of Mandalorians are these legendary bounty hunters that keep their word, and you never see their face and all that. Like that's the Super Commando Codex is kind of what established that in the galactic lore there, the general understanding that the public in the galaxy had about Mandalorians. And so I think that might bring about the word of the week for us.
Let's just put that off to a little later, but yeah, that we will touch on that again in the word of the week section. But that was a super good segue for speaking about how the overall Mandalorian culture differs from what we're seeing in the episodes of The Mandalorian.
Yeah, exactly.
Especially the helmet thing, because so for everyone out there listening that's not a Mando cosplayer themselves or wasn't there back in the days, in the dark times, the olden times, where we had nothing, nothing except badly recast Boba Fett resin casts. So
Oh man, yeah,
yeah, the dark times. No, for real. Like back in the day, there were few in between. I mean, Mandos hadn't really had the exposure they have now.
yep.
And then came the series, what was great because everyone suddenly knew what a Mandalorian was. What was not so great was the first few months on conventions. Oh, they put their helmets off. What? What? How can you take their helmet off?
Yeah, they're not Mandalorians, clearly.
Yeah,
Oh
and
my
you
god.
have they had to have that talk like 50 times every convention. Thankfully, that has been cleared up in the second season with Bo-Katan nonchalantly going, "Oh, he's one of them."
One of them.
After
Yeah.
after Din was giving her shit for taking her helmet off. But yeah, so basically the Children of the Watch, to which Din is affiliated, are a religious splinter group, and not at all what like overall Mandalorian society and culture would have been. Also,
Exactly.
one thing that, in my opinion, is a little bit of a shame that they dropped that ball in the series and did not go anywhere with it is that Mandalorians are a completely non-xenophobic culture.
Yeah, yeah. That's it is really a shame that we basically only see humanoid or humans in the Mando groups on screen because yeah, absolutely. Mandalorians will take on anybody and everybody who wants to be a Mandalorian and can follow the Resol'nare and can contribute to the culture and to their clan. That's it. You don't have to be any particular shape, size, or color. It's just can you follow the Resol'nare? Can you contribute to the elite? And come on.
One of my favorite quotes, I think it was Mandalore the Destroyer,
Yeah, yeah. I
the
know which one
female
you're talking about.
Mandalore.
Yeah.
Is it a destroyer? I think so, right? That pretty well sums that up as this is why you can't exterminate us, Aruetii. We are not huddles in one place. We span the galaxy. We have no lords or leaders, so we can't destroy our command. We have no species or bloodline, so we can rebuild our ranks with others that want to join us. We are more than a people or an army. We are a culture. We are an idea. And you can't kill ideas, but we can certainly kill you.
Chills, man.
And
Every time. Every time.
that's one of the first Mando things I could remember by heart. That's yeah, but
Yeah.
that one sums it up perfectly.
Hmm.
So that's the one strength, and that's why the Mandalorians were able to come back time and time again, because they're not like relying on some certain gene pool or some certain person.
Hmm.
They can exist in pockets.
Yeah, exactly. And that's something that I've said for a long time now. That you have all the the movies and the shows and everything where you see you've got Bo-Katan and her night owls and whatever, and you've got Din Djarin and the Children of the Watch and their whole cult thing going on. The ones that you see on screen are probably like half of a half of a half of a percent of what's
Yeah,
actually still hanging out, actual Mandalorians in the universe. There's probably whole like moons or planets full of other Mandos that are just chilling with not a care in the world of all the politics and crap going on in the galaxy at large, because like why would they care? Whatever. They're taking care of themselves. They got what they need.
yeah.
Yeah. Empire, you know, Republic, they don't care. Whatever. They can do their own thing.
Yeah, I mean that's what you. I mean, they actually did a good job of kinda implying that in the Mandalorian, I think,
Yeah.
because that's what we get in Navarro, right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah, the Republic, the Empire, we don't freaking care. We're out far, far here.
Yep.
Like, yeah. So, one thing I think they actually did get pretty well in the series is that it's an egalitarian society, so also your gender does not
Yep.
play any role in
Yeah,
what you
right.
can achieve and whatnot.
You were talking about Mandalore the Destroyer. That's actually Rana Tanast. She is female. That was a female Mandalore. Yeah, good point there.
Yeah, but I think that that's something we can really take a page of that out of that book. Yeah,
Yeah,
basically.
sure, for sure. And that's something that we've noticed. Actually, it draws a lot of people to Mandalorian culture because it's egalitarian, and because people want to see that in the world today, so they're like, hey, this is cool. But one thing I want to point out is that it's not because Mandalorians are so forward thinking and progressive that they want to include everyone. It's more that they literally just don't care. Like
Yeah,
it
yeah.
doesn't it just doesn't matter to such a degree that it doesn't even register. It doesn't matter what's under your armor. Are you following the Resol'nare? Are you contributing to the clan? You're a
Are you able
Mandalorian.
to
Congratulations.
are you able to kick some serious shabs?
That's right. Exactly. Yeah, it
Yeah,
doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what's under your armor. Just
yeah.
let's roll, bro.
Yeah, but that's something I would really wish for like our real world
Yeah, for
sometimes.
sure.
Like
For
and
sure.
and even yeah, I'm not like big in the discussions in that direction politically. That's what it's so appealing about it for me, at least. Like, yeah, they just don't care. It's about the qualities of a
Right.
person, not what's
Yeah,
in
it's
their pants.
you're judged based on your merits. It's
Yeah, exactly.
fully merit based, and that's exactly the way it should be. So yeah.
I just noticed that I threw a word in there by default with the quote Aruetii. That's
Aruetii.
basically
Yeah.
Aruetii. As you see, I'm still learning with the pronunciation. That's basically means outsider,
Yeah.
non-Mandalorian.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways that Arueti gets used. Usually, it is a kind of negative connotation because it's basically people who are not Mandalorian, Arueti, the outsiders, the foreigners, that sort of thing. That the people we don't consider us as Mando'a, the them to the us, and so it's often negative, especially when you have somebody who is a Mandalorian that betrays other Mando'ade, and then they get called Arueti. That's traitor at that point. So it can go to that degree of negativity, but yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be negative. It can just be talking about people that aren't Mando'ade.
Right.
But yeah, it usually carries that kind of negative connotation.
Kind of context sensitive, I guess.
Exactly, which
Yeah.
most things in Mando'a are.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Aruetii, I would say, what would you say, to what degree would you still stick with Aruetii for a traitor and not go like full Dar'manda?
Dar'manda. I would say, man, yeah, it's a tough line to call there, but yeah, I would say you can be Dar'manda without being a traitor necessarily, because there are some people that just give up on the Resol'nare and they don't want to live as a Mandalorian anymore, and so they are Dar'manda, but they're not necessarily, you know, some kind of traitor to Mando'a. They've gone away from following the lifestyle of Mandalorian. But at the same time, you can also be Dar'manda and Aruetii
Traitor.
because
Yeah.
you've
Yeah.
betrayed Mandalorians and now you are, have gone
Yeah.
rogue.
See, I was always of the impression that you have to be declared Dar'manda. Huh. Okay, so just for you guys to pick you up at that point, is Dar'manda is basically saying you're not Mandalorian anymore.
Yep.
What's also saying in the religion that you can't go to the other side, basically can't be one with the Manda anymore, right?
Yeah, it comes from some old Mando'a, where there was this in the ancient times there was this the kind of spiritual belief of this universal spirit of called the Menda, and that was sort of the afterlife thing. Is that when you die, your spirit goes with the Manda and becomes part of that. And so when you are Dar'manda, it's like you've given up your soul. You've become soulless. Is kind of where that comes from, where that idea comes from. And I think that's actually a pretty good segue into one of the other topics that we wanted to talk about here, of the different prefixes and stuff in Mando'a that you can
Yeah,
tack onto
actually.
words and what those mean. So Dar'manda, there you have the prefix dar, which shows up in a lot of words. One that may be useful there is the dar Jetii. So you have Jetii, which is Jedi, pretty obvious there. And then you have dar Jetii, and that doesn't necessarily mean dark Jedi, although it gets applied to the Sith. It's those that are Force users but are not Jedi, essentially. So that can range anywhere from Sith to people who have abandoned the Order. You would probably say that even Ahsoka might be considered Dar Jetii because she's no longer part of the Jedi. But Mandalorians don't usually make close distinctions like that. They'd probably see lightsabers and say, "Yeah,
Uh,
Jetii."
Parry this, you filthy wizard.
Shabla Jetii say.
Yeah, try to parry the slug thrower.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason why we have a Force Hunter brigade in the Mercs.
That's exactly right. um,
Yeah,
so another prefix that's really useful uh, to throw out there, and also to sling in the word of the week. Ori is the superlative the superlative prefix. So you've got vod, or like brother or sibling, sister, whatever, and then you have orivod, which can be big brother, or even as kind of like a sign of respect, like you're my big bro, you're the one I respect more than most, that sort of thing. So the greater suffix ori, and so the word of the week then would be ori ramikad, which is the super commandos, which is what I mentioned earlier with the super commando codex.
basically the elite warriors.
Exactly, yeah, the elite of the elite. So you have ramikad is a commando, and then ori ramikad, super commando. Pretty straightforward there.
Yeah, that's what I mean with at some points Mando'a is super simple.
Yeah,
It's also I noticed that's also kind of a German concept, right?
yeah,
So
in a lot of ways.
it's interesting. It's interesting to always like try to see where the inspiration might have come from for
Yeah.
building the words like you do, because that's something you absolutely do in German, like building these compound words, just slapping different part of words together.
Mm.
I guess I won't make any examples now because no one will understand.
Yeah,
So yeah,
that's
but
something that I would recommend to just to throw that out there is that if you want to learn languages like Mando'a or like conlings, especially, it is really, really helpful to learn multiple real languages because there's a lot of little factors and things that you learn along the way that can, cross pollinate there. They apply across multiple languages and it really helps you speed up your understanding of different languages.
I guess it also got something to do if you have like a talent for it anyways, that you
Hmm.
like good in pattern recognition. So I
Yeah.
think that that's one of the points where we started like speaking about this. When I noticed, oh wait, I can spot that in multiple words. Is that a rule or is that just the exception or
Hmm.
yada
Hmm.
yada yada? One thing that would be like super important, I thing to bring up just to help the people with the learning process is the n or nu prefix. I think we briefly
Yep.
touched on that before.
Yep. So that would be the negation or negative prefix there. There are a couple ways to do it, and for the most part, which one you choose is pretty much personal preference based on what sounds good to you. So you can say nu just in you or ne in e before a word like a verb or something to negate it. So like uh, think of a good example.
From the song Uru.
So yeah, ulur. So the verb there, you say nulu for putting the in you, so nu in front of ulu, and that then makes it nulu because those sounds mush together there. Whenever you have a verb that begins with a vowel, you just use the in because the vowels overlap. Um, that's a terrible way to explain that. So sorry if I confused anyone with that, but yeah, if you just have the thing to remember is if you have a verb that starts with a vowel, then you just need an in front of it, and you can attach that with the apostrophe, the bitten, if you want to. Um, but if the verb doesn't begin with a vowel, then that's when you use nu or ne. And again, that's basically personal preference. It's not any real rhyme or reason that we've been able to find for why you would use one over the other.
Dialect, whatever. We can get many explanations for that, but like nothing that's like official, right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. And it's one of those things, the way a lot of things often are with Mandalorians, where being so individualistic, we all have a lot of different ideas about things. So you ask 10 different Mandos about which one you should use, and you'll get 10 different answers. So
Yeah, way. One more that we would have that's also pretty interesting is the ke or the k. If you want to make an imperative out of something.
yeah, so that is the command prefix, the imperative prefix, and so that one, it works pretty much the same way. If you've got a verb that starts with a vowel, you just use you attach a K with the beten, the apostrophe, you attach that to the front of it, and that makes it into a command. Hey, do this thing. And we haven't gotten into conjugation yet. We'll get to that probably next episode because that's a big topic. but it's also very simple. But yeah, that one also comes with some interesting aspects, whether or not you conjugate the verb that you're using as a command to determine whether it's a more forceful, like a military order, like official order, or if it's just, hey, could you do this?
Yeah, me stupid, me no understand. No, for real. Like we gotta explain that next time in full.
For sure, for
But
sure.
what brings us to the homework actually? That would be firstly look up some Ori variants. There are
Yeah.
more than the ones we just explained, and also for extra credits. This time you could just dabble around and see what else you can find in the terms of prefix and suffixes. It's mostly pretty clear when you spot two or three words with the same thing. You can kind of get a feel of what it does.
Yep. Exactly.
Sometimes there are like two different ones that kind of do the same, but we will go more in depth with that next time. So, in that case,
Try to find a way to use our word of the week in a sentence. I know it's going to be difficult to figure out super commando and how you can apply that, but yeah, give it a shot. See what you can come up with.
yeah, of course. Then all that leaves us with is to say Ret'urcye.
Ret'urcye.
Bye, guys. Take care.